The alarm screens flashed red across the dark room. Hyunwoo Park sat up straight in his chair, his coffee forgotten. His fingers flew across the keyboard as numbers scrolled past his eyes. Something was wrong. Something big. "Computer, confirm the readings," he said into the silence of the night shift. The artificial voice responded immediately. "Confirmed. Massive gravitational distortions detected beyond Neptune. Multiple large objects decelerating from 0.73 light speed." Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. He had worked at the Earth Defense Coordination Center in Geneva for 6 years. He had never seen readings like this. Nothing natural moved that fast and then slowed down. Only ships could do that. He reached for the emergency comm line. "This is Lieutenant Commander Park. Wake up, Admiral Kim, we have contact." Within 20 minutes, the command center filled with people. Admiral Daejung Kim arrived in his uniform, his gray hair still wet from a quick shower. He stood behind Hyunwoo's station and stared at the displays. "How many?" the Admiral asked. "Still counting, sir. At least 500. Maybe more." Hyunwoo zoomed in on one of the distant signals. They're huge. Each one is the size of a small moon. Around them, other officers were making calls, waking up government leaders, military commanders, and scientists. The room buzzed with worried voices. Admiral Kim stayed silent, his face unreadable. Dr. Minji Choi rushed into the center 3 hours later. She was young, only 29, but she was the best xenolinguistics expert on Earth. If aliens tried to communicate, she would be the first to understand them. She didn't have to wait long. On the second day after detection, the signals came. Mathematical sequences pulsing across all frequencies. Simple patterns that anyone with basic math could understand. Dr. Minji worked for 18 hours straight, translating the message. When she finished, her hands were shaking. She walked to Admiral Kim's office and closed the door behind her. "They're not here to talk," she said quietly. "The message is a demand. We surrender in 10 days or they destroy everything." Admiral Kim nodded slowly. He had expected this. "What exactly do they say?" Minji pulled up her tablet and read the translation. "Surrender or extinction. You have 10 rotations of your planet. Prepare to submit to the Velkari Empire. Resistance will result in complete sterilization of your world." "The Velkari Empire," Admiral Kim repeated. "So they have a name." By day 3, the entire world knew. The United Earth government called emergency sessions. News channels showed the same images over and over. Distant lights in space moving closer. 847 ships. An armada that could block out the sun. Captain Jiwon Lee stood on the bridge of the EDS Indomitable, humanity's largest warship. She watched the news feeds with her crew. Her daughter, Lieutenant Sumi Lee, stood at the weapons station nearby. "Mom," Sumi said softly, "can we fight them?" Jiwon looked at her daughter. 22 years old, so young. She wanted to lie to give her hope. But Jiwon had spent her whole life in the military. She knew how to read the numbers. "I don't know," she said honestly, "but we'll do our duty either way." On day 4, the politicians argued. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to fight. Most just wanted to find a third option that didn't exist. Admiral Kim sat in the emergency session and listened to them debate. He said nothing. He already knew what he had to do. That night he activated a classified protocol. Only 5 people on Earth knew it existed. Code name: Scorched Earth. Across the solar system, hidden military installations received encrypted messages. In asteroid fields, weapons powered up. On distant moons, soldiers opened sealed orders they had carried for years. In secret bunkers deep underground, scientists began final preparations on weapons that officially didn't exist. Hyunwoo Park received new orders directly from Admiral Kim. His job changed from monitoring to targeting. He began calculating firing solutions for weapons he had never known existed. "How long have we had these?" he asked the Admiral during a private briefing. 58 years, Admiral Kim said. "Since we found the ruins on Titan. Since we learned we weren't alone. Since we learned about them." He pointed at the distant alien fleet. "We've been preparing for this day since before you were born." On day 5, Dr. Minji Choi volunteered for a dangerous mission. The United Earth government decided to send a diplomatic vessel to the alien fleet. Someone had to go talk to them to buy time. Minji was the only one who could speak their mathematical language. Her small ship launched from Earth with no weapons, painted white with symbols of peace. It would take 3 days to reach the alien fleet at Mars orbit. This is insane, her assistant said as they traveled. What if they just kill us? Then they kill us, Minji said calmly. But every hour I keep them talking is another hour for Earth to prepare. She didn't know exactly what Earth was preparing, but she trusted Admiral Kim. She had to. By day 6, the Valkyrie fleet crossed Jupiter's orbit. They moved in perfect formation, confident and unhurried. They had done this 1,000 times before. Another primitive species, another easy conquest. On the Valkyrie flagship, War Master Quellen studied the data on Earth. The planet had nuclear weapons, primitive railguns, chemical rockets, nothing that could harm Valkyrie shields, nothing that could stop Valkyrie antimatter cannons. Their largest ships are tiny, his tactical officer reported. Their energy output is minimal. This will be over in hours once we begin, Quellen agreed. In 50,000 years, the Valkyrie had conquered 1,247 star systems. Thousands of species had fallen before them. This would be no different. He watched the small white diplomatic ship approach. How typical. They always wanted to negotiate at the end. They always hoped for mercy. The Valkyrie didn't do mercy. Back on Earth, Hyunwoo Park made a discovery that changed everything. He had been studying the Valkyrie fleet formation, looking for weaknesses. What he found was worse than he imagined. Admiral, he called out across the command center. Their formation. It's not an invasion pattern. Admiral Kim came over immediately. What do you mean? Hyunwoo highlighted sections of his display. Look at the spacing. Look at the power signatures. This is a sterilization formation. They're not planning to invade. They're planning to burn the entire planet from orbit. The room went silent. Everyone understood what that meant. No occupation, no slavery, just death. Admiral Kim looked at the countdown clock. 4 days until the deadline. The Valkyrie fleet would reach Mars orbit in 6 days. They would reach Earth in 9. How long until the heliosphere cannon is charged? He asked quietly. 4 days, sir, a technician responded. And the Ghost Fleet? In position. Awaiting orders, Admiral Kim nodded. He opened a comm channel to every military installation in the solar system. All units, this is Admiral Kim. Execute Protocol Scorched Earth. Full authorization. Make ready for war. Across human space, weapons that had been hidden for decades came online. Soldiers who had trained in secret their entire lives moved to battle stations. Scientists armed devices that could crack planets. Humanity had 10 days to live or die. The Valkyrie thought they were fighting primitives. They were about to learn why that was a fatal mistake. In her small white ship, Dr. Minji Choi approached the massive alien flagship. She could see it now with her own eyes, a mountain of dark metal bristling with weapons. It could destroy her ship with a thought. She activated her comm system and sent a message in their mathematical language. I come to talk. I represent Earth. I request an audience with your commander. The response came quickly. Request granted. Prepare to be brought aboard. You will meet War Master Quellen. He will explain the terms of your submission. Minji smiled grimly. Let them think she was here to surrender. Let them think humanity was afraid. She was here to buy time. And when the time was up, these aliens would face something they had never encountered before. Humanity cornered. Humanity desperate. Humanity with nothing left to lose. The war hadn't started yet. But it was coming. And the Valkyrie had no idea what was waiting for them in the dark between Earth and Mars. General Taiyang Seo stood in a bunker 3 kilometers below the Swiss Alps. The elevator had taken 20 minutes to reach this depth. Around him, massive screens showed weapon systems that officially didn't exist. He was 52 years old and had spent the last 30 years of his life on one project, preparing for this exact moment. General, Admiral Kim is on the secure line, an aide said. Taeyang picked up the phone. Admiral, it's time. It's time, Admiral Kim confirmed. Brief me on everything. I need to know what we really have. Taeyang pulled up a display showing the entire solar system. Red dots marked weapon positions. There were thousands of them. We call it the hidden arsenal, he began. After we found the ruins on Titan, after we decoded the warnings about the Valkyrie, every major nation contributed. We've spent 58 years and $3 trillion building weapons in secret. He zoomed in on the asteroid belt. First, the kinetic kill swarms. We hollowed out asteroids and filled them with railgun systems. Each one can launch 1,000,000 projectiles at 30% light speed. We have 87 swarms positioned throughout the belt. Admiral Kim whistled softly. How much damage can they do? Each projectile hits with the force of a nuclear weapon. We can fire 50 million rounds in the first volley. And the Valkyrie shields? Tae-young switched to another display. That's where Dr. Borahan comes in. She's our head scientist. She cracked their shield technology. In another section of the bunker, Dr. Borahan worked with her team. She was 38, brilliant, and had barely slept in 6 days. Her eyes were red from staring at alien mathematics. The Valkyrie shields use a resonance frequency, she explained to her assistants. It's in their surrender message, hidden in the mathematical patterns. They don't even know they're broadcasting their own weakness. She pulled up a waveform on her screen. If we hit their shields at this exact frequency, they collapse. I've recalibrated every weapon we have to match it. Her assistant looked worried. What if you're wrong? Bora smiled tiredly. Then we all die. But I'm not wrong. I've checked the math 1,000 times. Back in the command briefing, General Tae-yang continued. Second weapon, quantum disruption mines. We've placed them throughout the solar system using stealth ships. The Valkyrie can't detect them. When activated, they destabilize the exotic matter in their faster-than-light drives. How many mines? Admiral Kim asked. 40,000. Positioned in their projected flight path. Admiral Kim was impressed. What else? The heliosphere cannon. Tae-yang's voice grew quiet. We built magnetic field generators around the sun. They can redirect solar flares into a focused beam. It takes 4 days to charge, but when it fires what? It can cut through anything. The beam carries the power of a star. Nothing can withstand it. Admiral Kim was silent for a moment. How is that even possible? It almost isn't, Tae-yang admitted. We lost 2,000 scientists building it. Solar radiation accidents, equipment failures. But it works. We've tested it 3 times on asteroids. It vaporizes everything. What's next? Singularity torpedoes, micro black holes in magnetic containment. We have 500 of them. And finally, the Ghost Fleet. This made Admiral Kim pause. Ghost Fleet? 200 warships built inside hollowed asteroids. They look like rocks on sensors. Each one has the firepower of 5 normal ships. They've been hidden in the asteroid belt for 20 years, waiting. Admiral Kim did the math in his head. If everything worked, if all the weapons performed as designed, humanity might actually have a chance. What's the cost? He asked. What did all this take? General Tae-yang's face grew grim. $3 trillion. Resources that could have ended hunger, cured diseases, built cities. 58 years of secret work. 2,000 dead scientists. And the lie we told everyone that we were alone in the universe. You kept this from the world? We had to. If people knew aliens existed, if they knew we were building weapons like this, there would have been panic. Wars over resources. The project would have failed. Tae-yang met the Admiral's eyes through the screen. I've lived with that guilt for 3 decades. But if we survive the next week, it will have been worth it. Hyunwoo Park worked with Dr. Borahan's team to integrate the shield frequency data into the targeting systems. Every weapon had to be calibrated perfectly. One mistake and the attack would fail. This is incredible, he said, watching the weapons data flow past. How did we build all this without anyone knowing? Bora laughed bitterly. People knew something was happening. Why do you think there were food shortages in the 2090s? Why did 3 countries nearly go to war over mining rights on asteroids? We were draining resources. We just hid where they were going. She pulled up old news articles. Every few years someone would ask questions. Journalists, politicians, activists. They'd notice the money disappearing. The secret construction projects. Most of them were paid off or silenced. A few. She trailed off. A few what? A few had accidents. I don't like to think about it. Hyunwoo felt sick. The cost of survival kept growing. On the EDS Indomitable, Captain Jiwon Lee received new orders. Her ship wasn't humanity's largest anymore. That honor now belonged to the Ghost Fleet vessels. But she had a new role. We're the first wave, she told her crew. When the fighting starts, we decloak and hit them hard. Our job is to create chaos, make them focus on us while the real weapons get into position. Her daughter Sumi understood what that meant. We're bait. We're soldiers, Jiwon corrected. We do our part. She gathered her senior officers in private. I won't lie to you. Our survival odds are low. Maybe 20%. But if we don't do this, Earth dies. Everyone dies. So we're going to do our jobs and we're going to take as many of those alien ships with us as possible. Commander Jinho Quan sat in the cockpit of his experimental fighter. It was black, angular, and equipped with technology he barely understood. Something called phasing drive that let the ship become intangible for brief moments. It's unstable, the engineer had warned him. Use it more than 3 times in a row and the reactor might explode. So I can use it twice safely? Jinho had asked. Theoretically. Jinho smiled at the memory. He was 36, had been flying fighters for 15 years, and had trained on this experimental craft for the last 5. He had 500 pilots under his command, all flying the same unstable death traps. They were ready. Across the solar system, humanity prepared for war. Soldiers moved to battle stations. Civilians were evacuated to underground shelters. Ships that had been disguised as cargo haulers revealed hidden weapons. And in the center of it all, Admiral Dae Jung Kim coordinated everything. He slept 3 hours a night, ate at his desk, and carried the weight of 8 billion lives on his shoulders. Sir, Dr. Choi's ship is approaching the Velkari flagship, an officer reported. Admiral Kim watched the small white dot on his screen. Minji was brave, braver than he could ever be. She was flying straight into the enemy's hands, buying them time. How long until the heliosphere cannon is charged? He asked. 72 hours, sir. And our other weapons? Ready on your command. Admiral Kim looked at the tactical display. The Velkari fleet was massive, overwhelming, unstoppable. They had conquered 1,200 worlds. They had weapons humanity couldn't even imagine. But they had one weakness: arrogance. They thought humanity was primitive. They thought this would be easy. All ships, Admiral Kim said into his comm. All stations. This is your commander. In 72 hours, we go to war. We face an enemy that has never lost. An enemy that wants to burn our world to ash. But we have something they don't. He paused, choosing his words carefully. We have desperation. We have weapons they can't see, and we have the home advantage. This is our solar system, our sun, our planets, and we will defend them with everything we have. Around the solar system, soldiers heard his words and steeled themselves. The countdown had begun. In 3 days, the war would start, and humanity would show the Velkari why extinction-level threats were a mistake. Dr. Minji Choi stood in the docking bay of the Velkari flagship, surrounded by aliens. They were tall, nearly 3 meters, with forearms and skin that looked like polished stone. Their eyes glowed faintly blue. War Master Quellen approached her. He moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. When he spoke, a translator device converted his words to Korean. You are the diplomat, he asked. I am, Minji replied calmly. Good. Then you will witness what happens to species that resist. He gestured to a massive view screen. It showed images of destroyed worlds, burned planets, dead civilizations. 1,247 conquest. Your world will be 1,248. Minji looked at the images without flinching. You showed me yours. Would you like to see ours? Quellen seemed amused. What could primitives show me? Our history, Minji said. She pulled out a datapad, her hand steady. In the last 5,000 years, humans have fought approximately 15,000 wars. We've conquered ourselves over and over. We've built weapons to destroy our own cities. We've turned our own planet into a battlefield 100 times. She met his glowing eyes. You've conquered 1,200 species. We've been fighting ourselves for millennia. We know war like you never could. Quellen's amusement faded. You threaten me? No, Minji said quietly. I'm giving you a chance to leave. Turn your ships around. Find another world. Because if you attack Earth, you won't like what happens next. The War Master laughed. It was a harsh, grinding sound. Your confidence is foolish. We will begin the sterilization in 60 hours. You may watch your world burn, diplomat. Minji smiled. 60 hours. Thank you for the exact time. She pressed a hidden button on her datapad. A signal, encoded in a way the Velkari couldn't detect, shot across space at light speed. On Earth, Admiral Kim received the signal. She's got the timing. 60 hours. Begin final preparations. The war began not with speeches or declarations, but with silence. The Velkari fleet reached Mars orbit in perfect formation. 847 ships ready to burn Earth to ash. Then, in the span of 3 seconds, everything changed. Yunwoo Park gave the order. Activate quantum disruption mines. Fire kinetic kill swarms. Ghost Fleet decloak and engage. Across millions of kilometers of space, 40,000 hidden mines activated. They sent out pulses of energy that tore at the fabric of space itself. 83 Velkari ships reported immediate problems with their faster-than-light drives. Energy fluctuations, system failures, explosions deep in their engine rooms. Then the kinetic swarms fired. 50 million projectiles launched from hidden positions in the asteroid belt. They had been accelerating for hours, building speed. Now they moved at 30% of light speed, each one carrying the energy of a nuclear bomb. The Velkari saw them coming on their sensors. Impossible. There were too many. Evasive action, War Master Quellen shouted. Raise shields to maximum. The projectiles hit like the fist of an angry god. 312 Velkari ships died in the first volley. Their shields, designed to stop energy weapons, couldn't handle the kinetic impacts. Metal tore. Hulls shattered. Ships that had survived 1,000 battles exploded in seconds. And then the Ghost Fleet decloaked. 200 warships appeared from nowhere, disguised asteroids splitting open to reveal hidden weapons. They were close, terrifyingly close, already inside the Velkari formation. Captain Jiwan Lee stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. All weapons, fire! Her ship unleashed everything it had. Railguns, missiles, particle beams. At point-blank range, even the Velkari shields couldn't stop it all. Borahan's frequency calculations worked perfectly. Shields flickered and failed. Velkari ships started dying. Target their command vessels, Jiwan ordered. Take out their coordination. Her daughter Sumi worked her weapons console with practiced precision. Torpedoes away. Direct hit on Cruiser 7. The cruiser exploded, its reactor breaching. The blast took 2 smaller ships with it, but the Velkari were adapting. War Master Quellen rallied his fleet. Return fire! All ships, random shield frequency! Don't let them predict our defenses. The Velkari counterattack was devastating. Antimatter cannons lit up space with deadly light. The Ghost Fleet ship Triumph died first, cut in half by a beam that vaporized metal like paper. Then the Defiant. Then the Resolute. 34 human ships died in the first hour of fighting. Commander Jin Ho Quan led his fighter wing into the chaos. 500 experimental craft, black and deadly, weaving through the massive ships like insects. All wings, activate phasing drives on my mark, he commanded. We hit their weapons ports. Use the frequency Dr. Han gave us. The fighters phased, becoming ghostly and intangible for brief moments. They flew through the Velkari shields as if they weren't there, firing torpedoes directly at weapon systems and engines. It worked. Velkari ships lost weapons, lost power, lost the ability to fight back. But the phasing drives were unstable. Jin-Ho watched as fighter after fighter exploded, the technology failing at the worst moments. He lost 73 pilots in 15 minutes. Keep fighting, he shouted. Make every shot count. The battle became a nightmare of violence and death. Ships exploded. Debris filled space. The red planet Mars watched silently as 2 species fought for survival. Admiral Kim watched from Earth, receiving reports every second. The numbers were bad. Humanity was winning, but barely. For every Velkari ship destroyed, they lost human vessels. The math was simple and terrible. Sir, Indomitable is taking heavy damage, an officer reported. On the Indomitable, alarms screamed. Captain Jiwan Lee's ship was dying. 3 direct hits had torn through the hull. Fires burned in the corridors. Half her crew was dead. Engineering, do we have weapons? She asked. Railgun only, Captain. 1 shot left. Jiwan looked at the tactical display. A Velkari dreadnought, massive and deadly, was turning toward Earth. If it got past the battle, it could bombard the planet alone. She made her decision. All hands abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. That's an order. Sumi looked at her mother in horror. Mom, no. Go, Sumi. That's an order from your captain. Jiwan's voice was firm. I need to do this. Sumi wanted to argue, wanted to stay, but training took over. She ran for the escape pods with the rest of the crew. Jiwan waited until the evacuation was complete. Then she aimed her dying ship at the dreadnought and fired the last railgun shot. It punched through the enemy's weakened shields and hit their reactor. For Earth, Jiwan whispered. She activated the engines, pushing them past safety limits. The Indomitable accelerated, a spear of metal and fire straight toward the massive dreadnought. The collision was spectacular. Both ships died along with 2 Velkari cruisers nearby. The explosion lit up Mars' orbit like a second sun. Sumi watched from her escape pod, tears streaming down her face. The battle raged for another hour. Hyunwoo Park coordinated from Earth, moving ships like pieces on a chessboard. He found weaknesses, exploited gaps, directed fire with cold precision. War Master Quellen realized his mistake. These humans weren't primitives. They were killers. Efficient, ruthless, prepared killers. How many ships have we lost? He demanded. 543, War Master. More than half the fleet. In 50,000 years, this had never happened. Prepare to retreat, Quellen ordered. We'll regroup at Jupiter and call for reinforcements. But Admiral Kim wasn't done. Activate the heliosphere cannon, he commanded. Deep inside the sun, magnetic field generators activated. They grabbed a massive solar flare and shaped it, focused it, aimed it. The power of a star, concentrated into a beam of pure destruction. 8 minutes later, the beam reached Mars orbit. 67 Velkari ships died instantly, vaporized by heat that could melt planets. The beam cut through their formation like a knife through paper. War Master Quellen stared in disbelief. They had weaponized their sun. These primitives had turned their own star into a gun. All ships retreat, he screamed. Maximum speed to Jupiter. The Velkari fleet broke formation and ran. For the first time in their history, they were running from prey. Admiral Kim allowed himself a small smile. All ships pursue. Don't let them escape. End this. The battle had just begun. The Velkari fleet ran. 304 ships, all that remained of the once mighty armada, burned their engines at maximum thrust toward Jupiter. Behind them, the human fleet pursued like wolves chasing wounded prey. War Master Quellen sat in his damaged command chair, trying to understand what had happened. 543 ships destroyed, in a single battle, by primitives. How far to Jupiter? He asked. 6 hours at current speed, War Master. 6 hours to reach the gas giant. Then they could use its gravity to slingshot to faster than light speed. They could escape, call for reinforcements, return with the full might of the Velkari Empire. But Quellen wasn't sure they had 6 hours. On his view screen, he watched the human ships closing the distance. They were smaller, weaker, but there were so many of them, and they fought with a fury he had never seen before. Aboard the Velkari flagship, Dr. Minji Choi sat in a locked room. She had watched the battle through the view screen, watched her people fight, watched them die. She had also watched the Velkari panic. A guard entered her room. War Master wants to see you. Minji followed him to the bridge. Quellen turned to face her, his glowing eyes bright with anger. You knew, he said. You knew about the weapons, the hidden fleet, everything. I suspected, Minji replied calmly. My job was to buy time. I did my job. Your world will still burn, will it? Minji gestured at the tactical display showing the fleeing Velkari ships. Because from here it looks like you're the one running. Quellen's four hands clenched into fists. But he didn't kill her. He needed her alive, a bargaining chip if humanity caught up. General Taeyang Seo watched the pursuit from his underground bunker. He had spent 30 years preparing for this war. Now it was happening and humanity was winning. But the cost made him sick. Casualty report, he asked quietly. An aide read the numbers. 156 ships destroyed. 47,000 personnel dead or missing. The Indomitable is confirmed lost with all hands except the escape pods. Taeyang closed his eyes. 47,000. Each one a person with family, dreams, lives. Dead because of his weapons, his plans. Was it worth it? The aide asked softly. Ask me when it's over, Taeyang replied. Lieutenant Sumi Lee sat in her damaged escape pod, watching the battle continue on her small emergency screen. Her mother was dead. Captain Jiwon Lee had sacrificed herself to destroy the dreadnought. Sumi wanted to scream, to cry, to break something. But she couldn't, she was a soldier. Other escape pods floated nearby full of her mother's crew. They needed her to be strong. A rescue ship found them 3 hours later. A damaged destroyer called the Vengeance. Who's the ranking officer? The captain asked over the comm. Sumi realized it was her. Everyone above her rank had died. Lieutenant Sumi Lee, sir. Can you fight, Lieutenant? Sumi looked at the tactical display. The Velkari were still running. Her mother's killer was still alive. Yes, sir. I can fight. Then get aboard. I need a new weapons officer. Commander Jin Ho Kwan had 89 fighters left from his original 500. His pilots were exhausted. Their ships damaged, but they kept fighting. They flew ahead of the main fleet, harassing the retreating Velkari. Hit-and-run attacks, torpedo strikes, anything to slow them down. "Commander, my phasing drive is failing," one pilot reported. "Then don't use it," Jinho replied. "Conventional attacks only. Save the phasing for emergencies." But emergencies kept happening. The Velkari rearguard fought desperately, trying to protect the fleeing ships. Jinho lost 13 more fighters in the running battle. He wanted to rage, to grieve, but there was no time. Only the mission mattered. Yunwoo Park coordinated the pursuit from Earth with cold precision. He tracked every Velkari ship, calculated their trajectories, predicted their moves. "They're heading for Jupiter," he told Admiral Kim. "They'll use the gravity well to jump to faster-than-light speed. Can we stop them? I have an idea." Yunwoo pulled up a schematic. "We placed gravity well generators around Jupiter 5 years ago. Part of the navigation system. But if we overload them, create artificial gravity distortions, they won't be able to jump," Admiral Kim finished. "Do it," Hyunwoo sent the commands. Around Jupiter, hidden devices activated, space itself twisted and warped. The gravity wells became unstable, dangerous, impossible to navigate for faster-than-light travel. War Master Quellen saw the trap close around him. His navigation officer reported the gravity anomalies. They couldn't jump. "They were trapped. Then we fight," Quellen said. "All ships battle formation. We make our stand here." 304 Velkari ships turned to face the pursuing human fleet. They were damaged, depleted, but still dangerous, still deadly. Admiral Kim watched them turn and felt a grim satisfaction. All ships attack formation. No survivors. End this. The second battle began at Jupiter's orbit. Dr. Borahan fired the heliosphere cannon again. It took hours to recharge, but it was ready. The solar beam lanced across space and burned through 42 Velkari ships in a single devastating strike. The remaining ships scattered, trying to avoid the deadly beam. But this put them in range of the human fleet's conventional weapons. Railguns fired. Missiles launched. Particle beams cut through space. The battle became a brutal close-range brawl with no mercy. No retreat. Lieutenant Sumi Lee worked her weapons. Console on the Vengeance with mechanical precision. Target, lock, fire, each. Velkari ship she destroyed was payment for her mother's death. "Lieutenant, you're exceeding normal firing rates," the captain warned. "I know what I'm doing, sir," Sumi replied, her voice cold. The Vengeance's railgun overheated, but not before destroying 3 Velkari cruisers. Commander Jin Ho Kwon led his remaining fighters in a mass torpedo attack on the Velkari flagship. It was a suicide run, and everyone knew it. "For everyone we've lost," he shouted over the comm. "All fighters, attack!" 89 fighters dove toward the massive flagship, dodging fire, using their phasing drives one last time. 73 fighters died in the approach. 16 made it through. They fired their torpedoes at point-blank range and scattered. The torpedoes hit the flagship's weakened shields and punched through. Explosions rippled across the massive hull. On the bridge, War Master Quellen felt his ship dying beneath him. Fires burned. Hull breaches vented atmosphere. His crew screamed and died around him. He thought of his empire. 50,000 years of conquest. 1,247 worlds. All of it threatened by one primitive species that refused to die. "Send a message," he ordered his communications officer, "to High Command. Tell them we underestimated them. Tell them to send everything." The communications officer was already dead, slumped over his console. Quellen laughed bitterly. Even in death, these humans had beaten him. The flagship's reactor went critical. Dr. Minji Choi, still locked in her room, felt the ship shake violently. She knew what was coming. She activated her emergency beacon, hoping someone would find her in the debris. The flagship exploded, a miniature star blooming in the darkness. War Master Quellen died with his ship and 300 crew. The remaining Velkari ships, seeing their commander dead, fought with the desperation of the doomed. But desperation wasn't enough. Admiral Kim's fleet surrounded them, cutting off escape routes, destroying them one by one. The last Velkari ship died at 0347 hours, Earth Standard Time. Its hull ruptured, its crew dead, its weapons silent. The battle was over. Hyunwoo Park stared at his screens in disbelief. 847 ships had entered the solar system. 0 remained. "Complete annihilation, Admiral," he said quietly. "It's over. We won." Admiral Kim broadcast across all human channels. All ships, cease fire. Repeat, cease fire. Begin search and rescue operations. The enemy is destroyed. Across the fleet, soldiers collapsed in exhaustion and relief. Some cried. Some cheered. Most just sat in silence, trying to process what they had survived. Commander Jinho Kwan landed his damaged fighter on a carrier deck. He had started the battle with 500 pilots. 16 remained. Lieutenant Sumi Lee left her weapons console and found a quiet corner to finally grieve for her mother. General Tae-Yang Seo received the casualty reports. 156 ships destroyed, 47,000 dead, the price of survival. In the debris field around Jupiter, a rescue team found an escape pod. Inside was Dr. Minji Choi, alive and well. "Welcome back, Doctor," the rescue captain said. Minji looked at the wreckage floating in space. Hundreds of massive alien ships torn apart and burning. "We actually did it," she whispered. "We beat them, yes ma'am. Earth is safe," but Minji knew the truth. Earth was safe for now. But the Velkari Empire was vast and they would come back. This wasn't the end, this was just the beginning. 48 hours after the last Velkari ship died, Earth began to understand the cost of victory. The debris field around Mars and Jupiter stretched for millions of kilometers. Broken ships, both human and alien, floated in the darkness. Bodies drifted among the wreckage, frozen in the cold of space. Recovery teams worked around the clock, searching for survivors, collecting the dead, salvaging what they could. Admiral Dae-Jung Kim stood in the command center looking at the casualty lists. 156 ships destroyed, 47,000 people dead, thousands more injured. He had won the greatest military victory in human history, but the weight of those deaths was crushing him. "Admiral, the government wants to give you a medal," an aide said. "Tell them no," Kim replied quietly. "I don't want medals. I want those 47,000 people back." He submitted his resignation that evening. After 50 years of military service, he was done. Let someone younger carry the burden. The government accepted his resignation and promoted Hyunwoo Park to admiral. At 34, he became the youngest person ever to hold the rank. Hyunwoo didn't want the promotion. He wanted to go home, to sleep, to forget the calculations he had made. Every targeting solution, every firing order had killed people, both enemy and friend, but someone had to do the job. "Congratulations, Admiral," General Tae-Yang Seo said when they met. "You earned it, did I?" Hyunwoo asked. "Or did I just survive?" "Both," Tae-Yang said honestly. "That's how war works." Dr. Borahan worked in a laboratory filled with Velkari technology. The destroyed ships had yielded treasure troves of advanced devices. Faster than light drives, energy weapons, shield generators, computer systems containing the knowledge of 50,000 years. "This is incredible," she told her team. "With this technology, we can have our own FTL ships in 5 years. Maybe less." Her assistant celebrated, but Bora felt uneasy. She had decoded the Velkari databases. She knew what was coming. She requested a meeting with the new Admiral Park. "We have a problem," she told him, pulling up star maps. "The Velkari Empire is huge. 400 light-years across. 50 billion soldiers. Thousands of worlds." Hyunwoo studied the maps. "How many ships did they send to Earth?" 847. "And what percentage of their total fleet is that?" Bora's face was grim. "Less than 1%. We destroyed a minor expedition force. Not even a real invasion fleet." The room went silent. "They'll come back," Hyunwoo said. "With more ships. More weapons. Yes, and now they know we're dangerous. They'll be prepared." Dr. Minji Choi joined the conversation. She had spent days translating Velkari records, learning about their empire. "It's worse than you think," she said. "The Velkari have conquered 1,247 star systems. They've enslaved thousands of species. Some of those species were more advanced than us. They still lost. So what do? Hyunwoo asked. "Hide and hope they forget about us?" "They won't forget," Minji said. "We humiliated them. We destroyed an entire fleet. They'll send everything they have to wipe us out." General Tae-Yang Seo entered the meeting. "Then we have 3 options. Hide, defend, or attack." "Attack?" Hyunwoo looked at him in disbelief. "We barely survived 1 fleet. You want us to attack their empire?" "It's the only way to survive long-term," Tae-Yang argued. "If we stay here, they'll eventually overwhelm us with numbers. But if we take the fight to them, if we free the species they've enslaved, we might build an alliance strong enough to win." The United Earth government debated for weeks. The discussion was heated, angry, full of fear. But in the end, the vote was unanimous. Humanity would attack. The Terran Federation was born from that decision. Every nation on Earth joined together, truly united for the first time. The old countries didn't disappear, but they became parts of something larger. Resources poured into building a fleet. Using Velkari technology and human engineering, shipyards worked day and night. Within 2 years, humanity had 50 faster-than-light warships. Admiral Hunwoo Park was given command of the fleet. His mission was simple: find the species enslaved by the Velkari, free them and build an alliance. And if possible, find the Velkari homeworld. Commander Jin Ho Kwon recovered from his injuries. The Battle of Mars had left him with burns and broken bones, but he healed. He was assigned to the new fleet as commander of the fighter wings. "I'm too old for this," he joked when he received the orders. He was 38 now, with gray in his hair and scars on his body. But he accepted the position. Someone had to train the new pilots. Lieutenant Sumi Lee was promoted to commander and given her own ship, the TFS Indomitable, named after her mother's vessel. She accepted the honor with quiet pride. She would carry her mother's legacy into the stars. Dr. Minji Choi joined the fleet as chief diplomatic officer. Her job was to contact the alien species they found and convince them to join the alliance. "I'm not a soldier," she protested when offered the position. "Neither am I," Admiral Park replied. "But we do what we must." Dr. Borahan stayed on Earth, continuing her research. She promised Admiral Park that when he returned, humanity would have weapons that made the heliosphere cannon look primitive. "How long will you be gone?" she asked him before the fleet departed. "Years," Hyunwoo admitted. "Maybe decades. We're going 400 light-years into enemy territory. We might not come back at all." "Then come back," Bora said simply. "That's an order from a civilian to an admiral." Hyunwoo smiled. It was the first time he had smiled in months. A memorial was built in Geneva for the 47,000 dead. A simple black wall with all their names engraved in gold. At the top, in larger letters, was Captain Jiwon Lee's name. The inscription read, "They came to take our world. We showed them why Earth does not fall." Sumi visited the memorial before the fleet departed. She placed her hand on her mother's name and made a silent promise. She would make the galaxy safe so no one else would have to die like this. The fleet launched on a clear spring morning, 50 warships sleek and deadly rising from Earth's orbit. Billions of people watched the broadcast, seeing humanity's first faster-than-light vessels leap into the unknown. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of his flagship, the TFS Unconquered. Around him, his crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were the best humanity had to offer. Veterans of the Battle of Mars, survivors who had stared death in the face and won. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Commander Kwon said. "Then let's go make history," Hyunwoo replied. "Set course for Tau Ceti, maximum FTL speed." The fleet jumped, disappearing in flashes of light and twisted space. They were gone in seconds, heading into the darkness between stars. On Earth, Dr. Bora Han watched them go. Then she returned to her laboratory. She had work to do. 400 light-years away in the heart of the Velkari Empire, War Master Quellen's final message reached High Command. It had taken months to arrive, traveling at light speed through communication relays. The Velkari leaders watched the battle recordings in silence. They saw their mighty fleet destroyed. They saw primitives wielding weapons that shouldn't exist. They saw 800 ships reduced to debris. "Send everything," the High Commander ordered. "Assemble the Grand Fleet, 3,000 ships. We will burn that world to atoms." But the orders took time to execute. Gathering 3,000 ships from across the Empire would take years. And in those years, humanity would not be idle. 10 light-years from Earth, Admiral Park's fleet dropped out of FTL near Tau Ceti. Sensors detected a planet, the fourth from the sun. It matched Velkari records for a slave colony. "Scan for life signs," Hyunwoo ordered. "Detecting 4 billion inhabitants, Admiral. Reading Velkari weapons platforms in orbit. They're targeting us. Weapons hot. Shields up. Open a communication channel." Dr. Minji Choi stepped forward. "This is the Terran Federation. We come in peace. We know you are slaves of the Velkari Empire. We have destroyed a Velkari fleet. We are here to offer you freedom, silence." Then a response translated by the computer. "You destroyed Velkari? Impossible. We have proof. We have their technology. We have their ships. And we're willing to help you fight them? More silence. Then, we've been slaves for 300 years. If what you say is true, we will join you. Hyunwoo felt hope for the first time since the battle. One world freed. One ally gained. This is just the beginning, he said to his crew. There are thousands more worlds out there waiting for freedom. We're going to free them all, the crew cheered. For the first time since the invasion, they felt like they were doing more than just surviving. They were fighting for something. 5 years later, Earth had changed beyond recognition. Orbital shipyards produced 100 warships per month. Humans lived on 50 different star systems. Trade routes connected dozens of freed species. The Terran Federation had become a power in the galaxy, and Admiral Hyunwoo Park stood on the bridge of the Unconquered, looking at a star map. It showed the route to the Velkari homeworld. They had been gathering intelligence for years. Now they knew the way. How many allies do we have? He asked. 43 species. 2,000 warships. Growing every day. Hyunwoo smiled. The Velkari had come to invade Earth expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened something they couldn't control. Humanity united. Humanity armed. Humanity angry. And humanity was coming for them. The war had just begun,